So I walked in and obviously dropped everything I was doing and ran over there. And
Right.
there was Dick Bedore, Coach Guthridge, and Coach Smith. And Dickie and Coach Guthridge were sitting in front of Coach Smith's desk, and Dickie looked at me and said, "Steve, Coach Smith has decided to retire, and Coach Guthridge will be the next head coach." And I said, "Okay." And Dickie said, "No, seriously." And I said, "Dickie, I don't think this is the kind of thing you would joke about. So I get it. Okay."
Right.
And at that point, Coach Smith said, "Now, I don't want to have a press conference." And
Right.
I said, "Coach, I'm sorry, but we have to have a press conference." He goes, "No, I don't want to bother the guys." And, there, I said, "Sir, I'm sorry, but with all due respect, no, we have to." I said, "No, we can't do that. We cannot have a press release to announce that Dean Smith is retiring. No."
Right.
And, one of the things that I've always been most proud of is that the assistant coaches, particularly Coach Ford, Coach Hanners, they would always sit me next to Coach Smith at dinner. Like when we would go to the Angus Barn um,
Right.
or Vinny's before we would go on road trips. When I first started traveling with basketball a couple years before that, they would always sit me down next to Coach Smith because I loved asking him questions. I loved talking to him about the 76 Olympics or different things in his career. And
Right.
at that point, Coach Smith was even a little bit hard for the assistants to talk to because they held him in such high regard. And he was older
Right.
than them, and he was almost unapproachable for them. And I can't shut up. So I mean, I was like, God, I'm getting, you kidding me? I'm
Yeah.
having dinner with Dean Smith, and you don't think I'm going to ask him questions about his career? And
That's
so
right.
I didn't really have a problem voicing my opinion of, respectfully, but coach, you can't. You're a legend, 36 years. You're the winningest coach in college basketball history at that time. We need to do this right. And I always remember Coach Smith said, "Yeah, but we're gonna have him practice anyway that day or something." You guys had to like, I don't know. And then I think he's no. At that point, he said, but he didn't want the players. That's right. He goes, "Okay, but the players are not. You're not going to ask the players." And if I recall right, you and Antoine and maybe Vince or so, you guys
Me and
nixed that, right?
yeah, me and Mac, I told him, he was like, "You guys don't have to come." I'm like, "Man, we coming, and we're gonna be dressed. Everybody that can make it, because he didn't want anybody to miss
Yeah.
class. You, yes, I don't want anybody to miss class." In my head, well, I hold you in high regard, coach, but you're not coaching anymore. But
Well,
and
that's
so,
why we had the press conference when we did. That's why the press
right, right,
conference was in the middle of
right,
the afternoon.
yeah,
Well, I always one of my favorite stories of that. I've several. It was such an amazing time. One
right.
was that he didn't tell you guys he was retiring until after you ran the
After,
mile run because he didn't want it to affect you guys had worked so hard, in August and September and the first week of October to get ready for the mile run. He didn't want
that's
the
right.
news to bother you guys on the run. I've
I,
always loved that part. And then the part that a lot of people don't know is, we started I said, look, we have to prepare. This is a major press conference. And I
right,
have to be able to invite people from across the country. Right now with the pandemic, we wouldn't be able to do it. We'd do a Zoom. But even
right.
now with budgets, you don't have as many national media who travel. But back then, there were national media from all over the country
It
that came
was.
to that press conference. And the reason they did is we started calling them immediately saying,
Sure did.
look, North Carolina is going to have a major press conference tomorrow. It's not NCAA related. It's not a health issue, but we're having a major, and it was kind of code for everybody kind of knew what we were saying. But it allowed media to literally came from all over the country to that press conference. But the reason it leaked out, if you remember, was the 76ers were practicing
Right.
at the Smith Center that week. And
Yes.
David Aldridge from ESPN was in the building to do a feature story or something. And when you guys came out of the locker room, you guys weren't very good poker players. So you guys spilled the beans to Stackhouse and maybe even Montross, who were on that team, and they told ESPN, and ESPN told the world. So our own players leaked out the news, which was fine.
Right,
Um,
right.
but that's how the story broke nationally, was because the 76ers were here.
Yeah, and it broke fast because I think we left there, went to get something to eat, and I remember getting back to my dorm. And when I got back to my dorm, there were already beat writers and people out.
Yeah.
Like it was like, whoa.
And there wasn't
This
even any social media at that point. Can you imagine
there was
that?
there was no social media, and they were
Yeah.
like, "True, Coach Smith is." I'm like, you just walk in. You know, Granville had a lot of media out there that night, and it was
Yeah.
within an hour and a half, if that. So